We've got a story for you today that really gets to the heart of what family and ambition are all about. It's about the silent sacrifices we so often miss. It's a journey of two people, a father and a son, that starts with anger but ends with a reunion that will absolutely redefine what success even means. It's a tough question, I know. It kind of hits close to home for a lot of us. But it's a question that is at the very center of the story we're about to get into. A story all about finally seeing the truth, but only after a long, long and difficult journey. All right, let's kick things off. Our story starts with a relationship and a deep, painful crack right down the middle of it. It's a classic story of conflict, really, born from a simple misunderstanding. So, picture this. We're in the heart of Chicago, and we meet our two main players, a father named Richard and his son Butler. And from the outside, they probably looked just like any other family. But under the surface, things were about to explode. And this is that moment, the breaking point. Butler, just full of that young, hot-headed frustration, unleashes these words on his dad. Just think about how sharp those words are. He's only seeing their poverty right now, not the bigger picture. And that was it, the final straw. Butler's convinced he can do better on his own, so he grabs a few things, a little bit of cash, and just walks out the door. He's leaving his father and pretty much his entire past behind him. So, with Butler gone, this is where the story splits. Two completely different journeys start to unfold. One path is loud and messy, and the other is just quiet and methodical. But you gotta wonder, are they headed for the same place in the end? I mean, wow, the contrast here could not be more stark. On one side, you've got Butler thrown into this brutal fight for survival on the streets, and on the other, there's his father, Richard, who begins this incredibly quiet, disciplined mission to rebuild his life. Yeah, that whole dream of independence, it hits a brick wall, and it hits it fast. For Butler, life isn't about freedom anymore. It's a grind, a daily fight just to find food, to stay warm. The city is a tough place when you have nothing. Meanwhile, Richard isn't just sitting around. No way. He has a plan. It's slow, but it's steady. He's taking on any small job he can find, saving every single penny with incredible discipline. And then he starts making these really smart, small moves, buying shares in little up-and-coming companies. And this is where you really see the power of just sticking with it. It's like compound interest, but for hard work. All those little steps he took, day in and day out, they start adding up. They start building momentum. His investments grow, and from those small beginnings, he builds his own tech company. He was building an entire empire in total silence. Okay, so this brings us to our third act, the surprising meeting. And this is where things get really interesting. Those two paths that went in completely opposite directions, well, they're about to slam right back into each other in the most unbelievable way. So let's fast forward a few years. Butler is still just barely getting by. But then, a little stroke of luck. A total stranger mentions a job opening at a big tech company. For Butler, it feels like a total long shot. But hey, it's the only one he's got. So, he cleans himself up as best he can, and he goes. You have to imagine the scene. He walks into this immense, shining skyscraper. It is a universe away from the streets he's been living on. He's got to be incredibly nervous, and he has absolutely no idea who is waiting for him in that top floor office. That elevator ride up must have felt like an eternity. He steps out into the executive suite, walks toward the CEO's office door, and in the single moment it takes to open that door, everything he thought he knew about his life is about to be shattered. Because the man sitting behind that massive desk, it's not a stranger. It's his father, Richard. The quiet, hardworking man he had called a failure, now sitting there as the owner and CEO of this entire company. Can you even imagine that shock? Butler is just floored, speechless. His world is spinning. The only words he can manage to get out are a question filled with just total awe. How? How could the father he walked out on have possibly built all of this? And that one simple question brings us to our final chapter, the reward of hard work. This is where all those years of anger and misunderstanding finally get washed away by a powerful lesson in patience and perseverance. And, Richard doesn't gloat. He doesn't rub it in his son's face. He just explains his journey. He lays it all out. It wasn't magic. It wasn't a lucky break. It was just a slow, deliberate process, working tirelessly, saving with discipline, and investing patiently. It was the reward for a lifetime of hard work that Butler never even saw. And in that moment, it's like a dam breaks inside Butler. The full weight of his mistake, his arrogance, the awful things he said, it all comes crashing down on him. For the first time, he truly sees his father's strength. And overwhelmed with regret, he asks for forgiveness. And Richard, being a father, forgives him instantly. But he does more than that. He doesn't just offer him a job, he offers him a partnership. He makes his son the co-CEO, and together they start building the future of the company and healing their family. This is the huge lesson Butler finally gets, that real strength isn't about loud promises or big talk. It's found in quiet, persistent effort. He finally realizes that a father's value is immeasurable. It's the foundation that everything else gets built on. And so, this whole powerful story leaves us with a big question to think about. What is life's biggest lesson? Is it appreciating the unseen work of others? Or is it about achieving success all on your own? Perhaps, as this story shows us, you can't truly have one without the other.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe my channel.